and still are both atheists. My grandma and the feminism movement. They are not the first two people I think of when we are talking about superstition and close encounters with the paranormal. And yet, when they were in their late 20s, they went on holiday to Tuscany, to a small farmhouse. Everything was perfect as you'd expect in a Tuscany holiday spot to be. Until it wasn't. During the night, they woke up in their rooms to the sound of steps and low chanting. They waited in the dark, surprised and terrified, as the door of their bedroom opened and a procession started to walk in. They looked like friars, clad in dark tunics with their hoods covering their faces, singing in Latin and carrying what looked like a coffin on their shoulders. They circled to the bed, stood in front of my shaking grandparents until the song ended, and the spot was clear. They gathered their stuff and ran away at the speed of light, turning their car around in the direction of home, never to return again. To this day, I still haven't decided if they're playing an elaborate prank on all of us, if they took some sort of drug that night, and now they're too shameful to admit it. I think LSD was pretty common back then. Or if they were the ones getting pranked by a group of hilarious people who took it way too far. It's still in house. I lived in the RGV, living in Edinburgh, but grew up in Rio Grande City my entire life. My grandma told me stories of her encounters with the lechuza when I was a kid. I was usually skeptical of mystical tales, but when it came to my grandmother, I bought her stories. It wasn't until I had my own experience that I was fully invested in other old wives' tales and folklore. I was out at a friend's ranch north of Rio Grande City with my buddy and a cousin of mine, a mutual friend and my buddy's dad. We were putting up some fence posts and barbed wire so we can corral some stray cattle that had wandered onto the property and keep them there until we found the owner. The sun was setting, so we decided to call it a day. We built a bonfire close by and huddled up in an unfinished ranch hand's house, basically a concrete slab surrounded by 4 walls and no roof. We were drinking and just shooting the breeze and telling stories from high school, when eventually we got to stories of the paranormal. My buddy is a huge skeptic, mostly because he's afraid of it. So he kept trying to steer the conversation away from ghosts and such. I decided to share a lechuza story my grandmother told me. Once I got to describing the creature, we heard an ungodly screech, almost ear-piercing. We all turned to look in the direction of the screech, and before my eyes can adjust to the darkness, I hear my buddy screaming that it's a lechuza, and he hauls ass to the main ranch house a few hundred yards away. I turn back to the darkness and see a giant silhouette of an owl perched on one of the posts we had driven earlier in the day. It was massive, so naturally I did one of the 2 things they tell you never to do. I whistled at it. This thing screeched again and spread out its wings. Its wingspan had to be in at least 7 feet in each direction, so 14 feet. The fence posts were spaced about 16 feet apart.
If you have,
its wings almost spanned half the distance. Scared out of my mind, I pumped my chubby, tree-trunk thighs as hard as I could and ran. As I had the back door to the ranch house in view, I got to see my buddy run in and close the door behind him. My cousin and our friend got there moments later too, and I hadn't noticed they took off right after my buddy and were kicking and pounding on the door nearly in tears. I get about halfway there and look back to the unfinished house and see the gigantic bird perched up on one of the walls, its face catching the moonlight as it cocks its head sideways, kind of how a dog does when they hear the owner make a strange sound. In the mere moment of its face being lit up, I swear I was able to make out human-like features with a bonfire lighting up the area behind it. I finally reached the ranch house and my buddy's dad opens the door and we're almost in tears. I rush in, close the door behind me, and my buddy's dad demands to know what's going on. Trying to catch my breath, I tell him with the others adding their points of view as well. We all look out the back door to see if it's still there, and just try to convince ourselves that we saw a regular owl, and my buddy's dad called us some rude names between chuckles. We scanned the horizon, and I'm armed with a baseball bat I found at the back door, my buddy with his firearm, and there's no bird. We got back with flashlights, me, my bat, my cousin, and a few weapons. We got back with our equipment, and our friend stayed back at the ranch house. He was done for the night. We get back to the bonfire to snuff it out. Smokey the Bear was always kind of an influence on me, and we investigate the surrounding area. My buddy's dad breaks off from the group to check out the fence post to make sure they're undisturbed, while we just hang back to think what happened. After a bit, we go join my buddy's dad and find him standing in front of the post we had originally seen the lentils I perched on. We never told him which one specifically, so I was kind of surprised to see him at the one. And then we saw the claw marks. I am a collector.
Pause it. Hit to bed in my tent. See you guys in the morning, I guess. Another day camping, yo. Gang, you heard. Press play.
Of vintage and antique items, including mid-century fashion dolls.
How Brantford
I usually purchase them from thrift stores, estate sales, or very occasionally on Craigslist. Recently I purchased a group of 1960s Barbie dolls that were a real bargain. I know the woman had a great knowledge of vintage dolls since she used to sell them on eBay, so she knew what they were worth. Still, I didn't question why she was selling them at such a low price. I was delighted with said purchase and couldn't wait to fix them up for my collection. A few days later, my bedroom suddenly became infested with flies. It was absolutely insane how many of these dirty little beasts filled my room. They seemed bent on driving me mad, as they were constantly buzzing in my face or landing on or over me. Some folks say that flies are a bad omen that signify the coming of bad times. These flies were of plague-like proportions, and were also a true enigma of why they arrived when they did. Around the time, I became very ill with flu-like symptoms. The weirdest part of this illness was a strange feeling like my brain was burning. I also experienced severe headaches that included crazy brain fog that felt like torture. It's hard to articulate exactly what the feeling was, but I've never experienced such an odd feeling in my head. It was so intense that ending my life crossed my mind. One last oddity to add to the pile. Usually I'm a very vivid dreamer with dreams that always have the same basic elements. After the purchase, my dreams have become dark and muddled. When I wake up, I feel exhausted as if I haven't slept. So why did I equate these mysterious happenings with the recent purchase of the dolls? I know it's not entirely logical, but it's just a strong feeling I have. What should I do? Could an inanimate object be cursed or bring bad luck? Maybe that's why she sold them for so cheap. I just want to add that I do not practice the occult nor believe in ghosts. The reason being is that after my father passed away quite recently, I saw no sign of him. My best friend also ended his own life some years before that, and I felt that if I were ever to experience a spiritual visit, he would have given me some sign. I just want to believe, but I can't. When I was 9, my sister was the victim of a hit and run. This happened right up the road from where we lived, 2 houses up to be exact. About a year after her passing, I was walking across the street 2 houses up, when I heard my name yelled very loudly. I stopped and looked.
Which boy is it? Gang. Let's pack it up, I guess. I'll see you when I finish packing up the shit. Okay, there we are. let's go up here, then, you know, the usual shit. Unlock the trunk, put the camping gear and the white went in the trunk, back up, unlock the car, start it back up. Oh, see guys, I'm back at the house, yo. See then. Well, here we are. We're nearly arrived to my place. Yeah, buddy. Here we are. Shit. Look it. Unlock the trunk. Grab the camping gear and lighter and the what? Renting out. Fuck, I can't speak. Unlock it. Put it in here. There we are. Lock the garage. Set the trunk. Lock it back up. Unlock my door. Gang gang. Put away my Glock. Then head to bed. See you guys in the morning, I guess. It's another day. 7 morning. Let's go out here, you know. Press play. Have fun for day.
No one was there. When I turned around, there was a car in front of me. It was passing me. She drove past me and I finished crossing the street. There is no doubt in my mind that if I hadn't stopped, I would have been hit by her car. I looked and never saw anyone outside or in the window. I never figured out who it was who yelled my name. It could have been an ex of my sister. This happened to my uncle's wife. I will narrate it, how she did to me and my sisters. We're from the northern state of Mexico, Nuevo León. From a small town south of Monterrey, seeing witches and lechuzas around the town are very common, but my aunt's story really pulls a chill down my spine. The story goes like this. I lived in a small home up in the hills. I shared a room with my sister, our windows facing the main street. It was big, and it had rails on the window. One night, me and my sister were in bed. She was asleep, and I was awake, lying on my bed looking outside my window, since my bed was against the wall and right underneath the window. I liked opening the window and looking up at the sky. I remembered being around 3 a.m. when I decided that I had to get some rest. I stood up just to close my window, and that's when I saw her, the witch, flying right in front of my house. She saw me, and we made eye contact, and I immediately shut my window and got under my covers and started praying. I eventually fell asleep, and awoke to the fresh air hitting my face as I opened my eyes, and I see my head sticking out the window. I screamed as loud as I could, and my sister woke up to help me. I'd never been afraid like I had been at that moment in all my life, as I realized that it was only her power that caused me to look out my window like that. If it wasn't for the rails, she would have had me. My aunt told us that her grandma would tell that the witches would take kids out their windows at night, and she never believed her until it happened to her. She believed the witch wanted revenge because my aunt made eye contact with her. The crazy part is that until this day, she sometimes wakes up with random bruises or hickey marks on her skin. Well, that's her story. I grew up in a haunted house. It was a pretty old house. It still had horsehair insulation, that velvet
Let's pause it. Let's go chill somewhere. Walk it back up. Walk it back up. And walk it. Walk it back up. Let's go. Let's go chill somewhere, yo. My car might get damaged, but fuck it. Let's go chill down here. Oh shit. That was a close one. Park my car. Walk it back up. Let's go to over here. Pardon me. Press play.
mask wallpaper, dirt floor basement, crystal doorknobs, cubby holes that you would crawl from one room to another, and a really nice clawford tub, along with an awesome wood stove. It was big enough that it had a front and back staircase. The front staircase was really ornate, but the back staircase was basically just plywood. Okay, now that you have a visual, on with my family's experiences. When I was very young, I became more aware of the noises and actions, and my parents would tell me it was all in my head. The older I got, the more I began to doubt that. Starting with the everyday and night experiences, like the footsteps up and down every night, mostly heard on the creaky back staircase. Low knocks on the walls, taps on the windows, items moved or crashed on the floor. And the scariest was gentle scratching noises under my bed and feeling someone sit on my bed. I began wrapping my blankets over my head and blocking my ears with my fingers. Around 10, it became more intense, doors opening and closing with enough force that it was definitely not a draft. The silverware drawer was completely pulled out and smashed to the floor when everyone was in the living room, feeling not so much a tug on my hair, but like someone was lifting up strands. At this point, my little brother of 6 and me at 10 had been sharing a bedroom. All the rooms were huge. My dad built me my very own room that was previously attic space, but on the same floor. It was huge, and was more like a living room with a bedroom around the corner. Every few days, I would be in bed, and hear my door creak open. Someone walk over to my bed and sit down. It was terrifying. I still used to go blankets over my head and fingers in my ears. The knocking on the walls started to become more louder and fast. The scratching under my bed seemed to be a bit more violent. My parents still dismissed our fears. When I was around 11 or 12, it became even more intense. I had to babysit my little brother almost every day during the week. This was back in the day when TVs had knobs to change the channel. We would be in the living room watching TV, and the knobs would visually turn by themselves. Sometimes only a few channels over, and other times fast through a bunch. Like my parents, I downplayed it to my little brother, and just took him outside to play pickle or kick the can with the neighborhood kids. They had already told me the rumors about the house, and would hardly ever come over. The most notable experience was walking down the back stairs. A strand of my hair was tugged hard, and I heard distinct breathing in my ear. I grabbed my brother and went across the street and waited in the pouring rain for my parents to get home. Ironically, where we waited was an entrance to an old cemetery, but I don't believe it was related to the haunting. The older I got, the more aggressive it got. TV knobs still being turned, curtains moving, steps up the stairs turning into stomps. The weirdest to me was the phone cord. It was one of those extremely long cords. The whole family was in the kitchen, and it started spinning. Not like a regular spin, but diagonally, like a lasso, about 5 feet off the wall. My parents downplayed that too, but by then, it didn't matter. I started to become desensitized. Going into 5th grade, I acquired a new best friend. She would come over, and it turns out we were both really into the supernatural. Watcher in the Woods with Betty Davis was our favorite movie. I ended up telling her about the house, and we came up with a brilliant plan to buy one of those Hasbro Ouija boards, candles lit and everything. Never even thinking it would work, and I don't remember if I actually did get it to work. But one day while babysitting, I had my innocent little brother play with me. The board immediately worked. My brother was freaking out, but I kept on going. I don't exactly remember the exact questions, but some of the answers were, kill John, my little brother. My addiction with all things horror, movies and books and such, led me to believe I had to burn the board. I took it out to the side yard and tried to burn it, but it just scorched a little bit. My father asked why there was a huge pile of burnt leaves and sticks, and I told him why, and he got really serious. He dug the board out of the sticks and leaves and tried to burn it himself on the wood stone.
You're fucking dumb.
It still just scorched, but more charcoal-like.
Never.
So he threw it in the trash. After that, things didn't get much worse, but different. I had a huge double closet filled with metal hangers. The sound of them clanking against each other, like a hand sweeping over them, became a new scare. I reverted to my usual finger in ears and blanket over head technique. But then I started getting pissed.
Well, I'll see you in 2 years, I guess. See you then. See you in 2 motherfucking years. Who knows where I'll be. But, see you then.